It's been close to 10 years since the Marikana massacre, and survivors are still crying out for justice and an apology. Now the Solicitor General says numerous settlements have been made to affected parties, and he added that one of the survivors has been awarded nearly 3.5 million rand, while remaining matters are still being tended to in court. Fhedzisani Pandelani is the Solicitor General, and he joins us from here in Johannesburg. A very busy day for you. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, Fhedzisani. I wonder if we could start by just marking the fact that it has been 10 years since that horrific event just brought the country, and some would say the world, to a standstill. Your thoughts on that 10-year mark?
No, thank you very much for hosting me, and of course to your listeners as well. Yes, it's been almost 10 years. It's 10 years, if one way to say that. It is a very lengthy period of time for any settlement of matters before court. As a practitioner myself, I think I would readily admit that that is an inordinate period of time, to deal with any matters, whether it involves the state or whether it is a matter involving private parties. 10 years is just a lengthy period of time, admittedly so.
And in as much as you're a practitioner of law, I'm sure you would take on board that the fact that in fact it's been 10 years trying to wrap up issues pertaining to giving these families the closure that they need, rands and cents involved, and the list goes on, that there are lots of emotions involved in wrapping up something as important as this.
No, ordinarily, an incident of that nature will engender quite a lot of discomfort. Of course, let's also appreciate the fact that the first matters relating to loss of support were settled. The first one was settled in 2017, not now. And so it is with the other matters that were settled between 2018 and 2019. That is before the creation of my office. So all dependency claims where somebody has been claiming for loss of a loved one who they were dependent on would have been settled as at the time when my office was created. But however, emotionally, it takes a toll on anybody else. And I think I'll be the first one to admit that.
Now, let's talk about what hasn't been wrapped up. You've been reported saying that there needs to be a finish line, as it were. And you've said that the end of the month is that finish line. But it is being reported that 24 of the more than 280 claimants has not been resolved. Can you tell us what is the state of those 24 claims? Where are we at from a legal point of view?
So we've categorized the matters in 3 batches. The first one would have been loss of support, which is the matters that in fact started settling from 2017 up to and including 2019. So that is category A. Category B would have actually involved matters where there is arrest, detention, and reported incidences of assault. That, in fact, those matters in the main were settled at 102 million rand in aggregate, 102,305,000. And then, after everything has been said and done, there were then these 48 matters that were remaining with that cannot be segmented under category A or category B. These are matters which involve personal injuries, special damages and general damages. These are matters that are being judicially managed as we speak. And I think a number of the 24 that you are referring to would constitute a portion of those matters. Now, the court directed that from the 25th of July up to and including the 19th of August, we ought to have wrapped up all of these matters. We need to find each other where there are differences. And that is what we are working on now. I think today is the 10th. We are left with 9 days that the court has allocated us to finalize all and any matter which would have been a part of category C, which is the 48 matters. And I'm hopeful that perhaps the parties that are negotiating will be able to find each other. But should it happen that they don't find each other, those matters that are remaining will then be allocated a judge, so that the one issue that remains, which is, the rands and cents of how much should be payable to any of the claimants, will have to be determined before a judge. And we have only been given up to the 19th of August to do that aspect. The end of the month is to give me the latitude to follow up and see whether payment has been effected by the state.
Are you able to share with us what are some of the major stumbling blocks that are keeping these parties from finding each other, as you stated?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, in claims of this nature, you probably, have quite a number of attributes that needs to be taken into account. You'll find one party saying, I need to be paid X amount, say 6 million rand, for example, where in fact, case law and other similar facts would dictate that you need to pay that person maybe 400,000 rand. Now, there's a huge difference between 400,000 rand and 6 million rand. And I'm just giving a ballpark figure. We're dealing with taxpayers' money, and we need to account for each and every cent. We are not allowed to just go there and say, here is a bag of money, go, so that we settle this matter. We are operating under very strict oversight bodies, the Portfolio Committee, Treasury, and the Auditor General. So we are willing to settle these matters. We will be the first one to say, let's settle these matters, because it also helps us to reduce the costs that are inherent to the state in dealing with these matters. So the sooner we settle them, the better. So I think it is the huge difference in what we can offer and the expectation that in fact is standing by and between the parties.
Before I let you go, I do believe that you are working on developing 5 policies. I'm assuming, based on what you've learned from working on the Marikana settlement case, that you are hoping to put forward to government that would help them in dealing with similar situations, for want of a better phrase, in the future. Can you talk to us about that process as well?
One of my mandates is to enable the state to be a capable state, to be agile enough, to be responsive when it comes to litigation. Essentially, I had to come up with my team with a litigation strategy for the entirety of government. But over and above that, my mandate actually says you need to also assist in developing policies so that when you deal with similar matters, we actually are not found wanting. One of the policies which is critical is what we call early settlement of matters, which is mediation and arbitration. So once you then lodge a letter of demand against the state, you could be required to undergo mediation even before you issue the summons. That will in fact obviate and avoid a situation where we bleed quite a lot of much needed resources which would go towards service delivery, as opposed to having to spend it on legal costs for our own and the party that is representing the other side. So the 5 policies to me are very critical and are very closer to my heart. And those policies, to be honest, have been approved by Cabinet. I think 2 will be going to Cabinet soon, and they need to then get a final stamp of ratification from Parliament. And then it will be all systems go.
Okay, we're going to leave it there, but we'll certainly be keeping an eye on those last developments as this process wraps up. That's the Solicitor General, Fhedzisani Pandelani, joining us from here in Johannesburg. We thank him for his time this afternoon. We'll have more after this.